right now. So I just want to just give an update on the GaitNET initiative and have some discussion. And just to go back, one of the things is we're really looking at how we can better work together. And I think many of the talks this morning really centered on that and being able to communicate and collaborate. And in doing that, we're looking at how we can standardize some of our methodologies and look at whether we can develop some clinical tools and guidelines to actively engage in knowledge dissemination. So it's really the how can we do this, the why, and what is the impact going to be. Now, when so that was sort of the idea of the initial GaitNET OA. But since then, with some support from the MSK Rehab network, our initiative really, we are looking at if we're able to build sort of a national pipeline for motion analysis laboratories where we could do some rapid validation work of methodologies and those types of things. And we did see some new methodologies today. And I think in Jesse's talk, he was talking about, like having sort of a centralized analysis approach, which is also something that we would be considering looking at. So we would have a shared platform where we could actually increase some of our sample sizes to address some of the issues as Monica brought up and others with respect to variability. And while it started off with the OA and in particular the NEOA researchers, because we all get along quite well and that type of thing. So that was one of the reasons. But the other thing is if we can develop sort of a foundation, then this could expand to other joints as well as upper extremity biomechanics, et cetera. So what we want to do now is just open up some discussion. Like we're looking right now at putting together a perspectives paper, as well as scanning some of the literature with respect to metrics and commonality and methodologies and those types of things. And thanks to Ross Miller for doing some nice work on the knee adduction moment, so we don't have to repeat that. So what I want to do is I just want to open this up to some discussion around the initiative. If you have any questions or any questions for any of the speakers that we had present today. And I'm going to pick out Derek Pamperkoff first because I know he had a question. I'm not sure, Derek, if you'd like to start off this session.
Sure. So my question was firstly for Anthony and Nick. Fantastic presentation. I love the idea of what you presented. And I think my question actually really does pertain to the GaitNET initiative on the idea of common metrics, because one of the things I noticed on your plot was that you used the absolute contact force to predict cartilage loss. My question was actually if you saw similar associations if you were to normalize that or scale it to some anthropometric criterion. I think most of the studies that we heard from the other authors today use some kind of normalization, whether it was to body weight, body mass, or a product of body weight and height. And so that was maybe my question was, when we think about the CAM in the debate, some of those studies did use different normalization criteria, and it completely changes the interpretation and even the intervention strategy that one might apply. And with what Janie was commenting on, with the heterogeneity of populations, with one of the major risk factors being obesity, we do need to consider how we are normalizing this value for our interpretation of the data. So that was my first question, I guess, for Nick about normalization. Nick or Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony here. Derek, thanks for the question. I actually briefly saw you. I think you sent me a message on Twitter, and I was literally going through my data to see if I could quickly run it. We actually didn't. So we normalized things, and we did various other playing around trying to get the best MCF equation a little bit early on. but not for actually predicting the cartilage loss itself. So I can try and play around and pull stuff up and see if I can find something there. But I think this is a great point. I'm less in this area. I know Nick and Monica probably have more comments about the normalization techniques, but I think that you're right, you're bang on. And I think that this also speaks to, I think, a comment that I think is relevant to something that was brought up about CAM studies and study sizes and whatnot, is we really need to, in those bigger studies, we pick these outcomes a priori, or we should be. And so it's interesting that we should be picking the same thing and all looking at the same thing, as opposed to maybe sometimes, I know in the biomechanics community, we find the best relationships we can find, and maybe we're over selling CAM if we pick normalizing to kilograms or normalizing to kilograms times height in different studies because they fit better. I'm not saying anybody did that, but I'm just saying that we don't know. And I think this is something that we need to look at.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Derek, that's a great question. Like we've already started looking at the differences in the literature, and some it is very variable with respect to what people are using. And even if they're using kilograms, newtons, when they're normalizing to weight, etc. So thank you for the question and the answer, Anthony. It looks like Anne Marie has her hand up.
Hi, yeah, I want to start off by saying really beautiful presentations, everyone, and thank you for putting on this session. Along the similar veins as Derek's question, I have one, I think at CSB, and had a conversation on wearable sensors and trying to find a normalization means of kind of collecting all the same data. And the consensus at the end was that we really don't have a consensus of right placement and what we should be doing. So I think it was said really well that it is still kind of the Wild West where everyone is doing their own thing. And I'm wondering, I have some ideas on how therefore we could fit some of this out of lab wearable data into a framework like this, because I think we do want to move and collect as much data as possible. I just don't know the best way of doing that.
Okay. I don't know, Michael, do you want to try and?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what we're trying to do with the GaitNET initiative is in multiple aspects, just trying to bring people together and trying to come to that common ground. And I really don't know, to be honest, whether we're ever going to come to a universal consensus. But I think if we can show that we can have small groups of people working together collaboratively for kind of a common good, that's kind of the best we can do. And I go back to some of the great comments that Dr. Ronsky made earlier. And I don't think the GaitNET initiative is built, and maybe I'm speaking out of place, but I don't think it's built to say this is the only way we can do things and everyone has to do it. I think what we're trying to do is develop a framework of how like-minded groups can be part of doing that. And I think we need to start small. And so if there's groups of 5 people here, 10 people there, that's, I think, the best way to do that and put it out there and show, yes, we can do it. These are our lessons that we've learned. And if you want to join the club, so to speak, then that's great. And then we kind of build from there. But I don't think right now it's now's the best time just to say, you need to do this or else. I don't think that's in anyone's best interest.
And a key thing is really clarity and explaining what you did. It's surprising how many people don't even indicate whether it's an internal or an external moment or those types of things, let alone what exactly the normalization was. So even if we can get to that point, it would be good. Carrie.
Hi, yeah, those are both great questions. I wanted to add that I think as we start to collect these larger data sets, that's going to give us the opportunity to try to adjust for some of the differences in methods across sites. So we might be able to adjust for the clinic site that we're collecting at. And then also just some feedback that we've gotten recently from some people that are better at statistics than us. So including the statistical editor of Osteoarthritis and Cartilage, is that from a purely statistical standpoint, it's actually not appropriate to normalize some of these variables, because then you're kind of introducing this weird inverse term into your relationships, and that might not be kind of a biologically relevant variable. So they suggested that it would actually be better to adjust for those as another factor in the analysis rather than normalizing these biomechanical data.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, good,
that's a
good
good
point.
point, Carrie. Yeah.
And Dr. Birmingham, do you want to maybe raise a comment on that? Because that's a great comment, Carrie. Trevor Birmingham, who's an associate editor for Osteoarthritis and Cartilages, might have maybe a bit more to comment on that. Go ahead, Trevor.
No, thank you for saying it. It allowed me not to. That's advice that we will get from the biostatisticians at Osteoarthritis and Cartilage and other journals for that matter, for pretty much any GAIT paper where they represent their moments as either Newton meters per kilogram or percent body weight times height. They'll remind us that that's actually a ratio, and if the intent is to adjust for the effect of body size, then you should be doing so in your model, just as Carrie said.
Okay.
And again,
okay.
to her point, if you're going to do that well, you do need larger sample sizes. And so I agree with her completely. We should be trying to build larger sample sizes and then look at both the adjusted and unadjusted results in our models. And that goes for, size, whether it's BMI or height and weight, and for other variables that we know could affect our results.
Great point, Trevor, as well. I think Ross has a question or comment.
Carrie's comment on stats made me think of this. I don't know what it's like with CIHR. I haven't written a grant in Canada in 10 years, but in NIH at least, it's basically impossible to get an OA grant funded if you don't have a biostats person on your team. And I think a great goal of something like the GaitNET initiative would be, let's get biomechanics to that point for osteoarthritis grants. Make it so that you need a biomechanist on your team if you're going to study osteoarthritis. I think in the US, at least, we haven't done a great job of establishing that as like our turf. Like not that it's only a biomechanics problem, but it's certainly a huge factor in osteoarthritis. And I think with GaitNET, you have an opportunity to really make that strong claim outside of the field that biomechanics is an essential element of osteoarthritis, which is no news to anyone here, but I think outside of biomechanics, that's not well accepted.
Thank you, Ross. I think that is a very good point, and that is one of the things that we would like to do is elevate the recognition of the importance. Dan?
Hi there. So I just have a quick question with respect to the variability in the CAM data. And this came to light yesterday during one of the presentations looking at the differences between markerless and marker sets. And the variability in where the markers are positioned on the bony landmarks had a huge impact on the kinematic data, and obviously hence would have an impact on the knee adduction moments. So the comment that I have is that we not only have to come to some degree of standardization in the marker sets, but also marker placement as well, given the inherent variability. So that's just a quick comment in terms of why we might see a lot of the variability across the CAM papers.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things is that we do have a very complex system. And like I always make the analogy to the heart as well, but that has one function. When we're looking at biomechanics of human movement, we have all kinds of different functions, stability, producing forces. There's all kinds of functions. So it is relatively complex. So there are lots of issues that we do have to come to some sort of agreement on. I don't know, Michael, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think it's a good comment. And, again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. And I can't understate how important Ross's comment was, which is, we need to come to some consensus. It doesn't need to be a complete consensus, but one of the things that we've been trying to do with GaitNET is not to say this is the marker set you need to do, but what are the 10, 15, 20 key things that we need to look at? You can add other things if you want, but we need to kind of start small, and we need to be able to build that consensus so that we can show to the other groups that, hey, we're a cohesive group. We can build large data sets. We can come up with important information. But that's not to deter people from doing their own thing, which I think is kind of what's got us to this point now.
And if we need to do multi-center trials, we can do them with some confidence that our results are going to be valid. So I see that we're close to the end of our time here. And what Elise has her hand up, so I'll take that if it's a quick comment. And then I think in the interest of time, because we're all kind of sick of being on videos, although this was fun. Anyhow, go ahead, Elise.
Thanks, Cheryl. I'll make it quick. I'm working with Kevin DeLuzio at Queen's. And as you'll have seen from the conference, we're definitely focused on markerless technology. And to the last comment, I know that Kevin is very interested in having a multi-center markerless pilot project. So I just wanted to put that out there. If there is interest in doing that, that's something that he would be interested in coordinating and having possibly one person travel around the country and do some pilot markerless data collections to see if that is going to be, could potentially be a useful technology for this group.
Yes, thank you, Elise. And actually, Kevin has been involved with some of the discussions for sure.
Yeah.
So
He just wanted me to reiterate.
That's right. Good. Okay. So I think that we're at the end of our time here. And what I would like to do again is thank CSB for allowing us to tag along, but specifically the Canadian Musculoskeletal Rehab Research Network, and specifically Ryan Power for putting this on, doing the registration, sending out all of the information and helping to organize this. We would not have been able to do it. So thank you, Ryan. I'd also like to thank both doctors, Dr. Hunt and Dr. Wilson, for their great presentations as well, and really some good food for thought with respect to moving forward with biomechanics and osteoarthritis. So clap for them as well. And honestly, the student or the trainee presentations were outstanding. And people should know that these were done in very short order because this was done in a short period of time. And I was blown away by the breadth and depth of the presentations by trainees. So thank you very much to them as well. Great job. And then finally, thanks to you for coming. I think we had over 100, like 110 people who were online, some international. I see Dan and a few, Ramsey and a few others. Carrie's now international. And that's great to see that. So I really, I thank you for that. And oh, this didn't come up very well. So this is where I am at this particular point in time in Nova Scotia. And I wish everybody well and stay safe. And soon we will be through this, the other side of this pandemic. We will survive. And if you get a chance to travel, travel to Nova Scotia, and we can have some fun at the ocean and visit our lab, and hopefully that will happen soon. So thanks, everybody, and have a great weekend.
One last comment, Cheryl, and I think it comes back to this last, maybe talking to the last session here, the next steps for GaitNET. And I think if there's one thing that I learned from today, it's that there is a lot of interest from the community, and I'm wondering what people think about what the next steps might be. And maybe we can work, you and I can work with Ryan to pull together a survey or something of the group from today, and just to kind of see, you know, is this something that we want to do, kind of an informal / formal, monthly, bi-monthly, whatever we want to do, just to keep the discussion going, because we obviously, and Janie and I were chatting offline, we just scratched the surface today. And I think there's lots we can do. So again, this is kind of the soft relaunch of GaitNET, but I'd like to see it move forward. So again, thanks to everyone. I'll hand it back to you, Cheryl.
Yeah, and that's right. And Ryan is actually going to put this up on I think the MSK website, but we'll send something out to this entire group as well once we put things together. So thanks for reminding me of that. Ryan, did you want to say something? or?
Sure. I just wanted to say thank you again to, well, first to all of our presenters. They were certainly the ones that did, all the hard work with this, and to Michael and Cheryl for organizing. I was more than happy to help how I could with kind of the logistical side of things, but it was a pleasure to be a part of, and I think was very successful. So thank you to the organizers. Thank you so much to everyone who participated. And yeah, we're really looking forward to kind of seeing where we can take things from here in terms of collaboration and just moving the research forward. So that's kind of the goal with the MSK Rehab Research Network, and we're excited to just keep on moving ahead with this.
Okay, great. So everyone have a wonderful weekend, and hopefully we'll see you sometime in person, and all the best.
Thanks, Cheryl.